Love Letters to Virginia, the podcast that keeps Virginia on the map, is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Welcome back to Season 2 of the Love Letters to Virginia podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Pasmino. Thanks for listening.
My name is Staci Murawski, and I'm directing Anne by Holland Taylor at Little Theater of Norfolk.
How did you get involved with the Little Theater?
That's a loaded question. So I had lived here in Norfolk before, many years ago. And back in 2010, I think I actually did costuming on my first show here in Norfolk. And that was The Importance of Being Earnest at LTN.
Beautiful.
So I've been in the family for a while.
So it sounds like you've done many different roles being involved with the Little Theater. Is that true?
I have, yeah. I enjoy community theater for that purpose, that you don't have to be an expert in a field, but that it gives you an opportunity to try new things.
Okay. So have you always been involved in the theater?
Yeah, I was, I think, in my 7th grade year in a performance-based school. So I went to magnet schools and performance-based schools, and I was a violin player. I played violin and cello, and I had no personality, and I was very shy. And my brother had taken an acting class, and so my mom took me to school on the first day. She opened the door to the classroom and she said, "You will now do theater," and shoved me in the room.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I guess I do theater now. And so I took my first class that year and didn't really love acting yet, but I liked that I could work behind the scenes. I could do the shadow work, and I volunteered to do set. And I loved it and fell in love. And I've done theater ever since.
Awesome. So did you ever fall in love with acting, or do you prefer to stay behind the scenes?
Yeah, I did eventually. So you don't see me on a stage or in front of a camera often. I'm very selective on what I do, but I fell in love with dramatic roles, of course. And I think I was in my 10th grade year of school when I did my first acting role and learned that I was actually funny. Because it was, I played a Torxicorian, which is another word for a particular job involving dancing. It's a little risque. But it was a funny story, a courtroom drama, and I loved the whole concept of a traveling touring show, and I got to do that for 2 years, and then I did Agnes of God for 5 years. So I did eventually fall in love with all aspects of theater.
So what brought you back to Virginia?
Oh. So I have lived a life where I didn't really have a home. You know, I grew up with military. So we traveled a lot. And then I married military, so I traveled a lot. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need something new. And I really liked living in Norfolk before. And so I chose it to be my forever home.
So this question I ask everyone I have on the show, and that is, how do you recognize someone from Virginia?
Ooh. Well, I know if you want to recognize somebody from this area, I'm not overly familiar with all areas of Virginia yet. I'm still learning.
Okay.
But I know in this area, it's how they pronounce things, like Monticello is Monticello, and Boosh is pronounced funny. Norfolk is Norfolk. Like, I'm not very good at the dialect, but I could definitely tell who's native, or at least knows the native pronunciation of certain things, versus somebody like myself who's a transient into the area.
Right. Oh, well, thank you for that. That's definitely what I tend to hear mostly, like the very specific places pronunciations.
They are very particular about Norfolk.
What is your favorite part about Anne?
So there's a million things about Ann Richards, but one of the things that I remember when she was kind of in her heyday, I remember watching women react to her, even like in my own family. I remember women getting permission to, I might get emotional, I'm sorry. I watched women who thought they didn't have a voice suddenly realize that they did. And it was really powerful to watch the change in the women around me. And I think that's the one thing that I really hope people get from the show itself, is that even if you do not choose to be a public servant, you know, if you choose that's not the role that you want to go, at least you should be focused on choosing the people, exercising your vote, that have the ability to speak for you. And that there are still people in office that have the right frame of mind on what they're supposed to be doing. And those are the people you should be supporting.
That's a beautiful response. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I got emotional.
No, you don't ever have to be sorry about that.
Art is
I'm
emotion.
honored for you to be open in my presence.
Art is emotional.
It really is. And that's the thing, like, I knew it was a dress rehearsal, but I could still feel that emotional connection that Nancy has with Anne and
yes.
her character. So I think
some of that might have also been exhaustion.
Well, it carried the story, and I think it was brilliant.
When you work with Staci Murawski, you're going to be exhausted. Like, it's a lot. There's a lot of expectation.
I think that's great because, I mean, although it is a volunteer environment and it is considered amateur, I guess, you still have certain expectations and you want it to be the best show because it has your name on it.
Right. If you're in a good house, which LTN is, if you're in a good house, then you have a good mix of seasoned people who've, you know, are well-versed in all aspects of theater and what we should be doing. But then you also have people who, for instance, Sam and Joe, who are also cast in the show, this is their first theatrical production, like true piece of work that they've done from start to finish. And we have people on crew, this is their first theatrical production. Selena, this is her first like actual assistant director position. This is Jamie's first real costuming position. She's helped me before, but this is her first actual position. So I try to mix season with non-season as much as possible, but I like to bring new people into the space that I'm working so that they can see that there's other potentials. You don't have to be deadlocked into, you know, one theater just because that's where you started. You have options. but it does take somebody to kind of pull you in to the directions and show you the ropes. And community theater is so good at doing that for so many other people that ordinarily just would not have a chance if all we had was professional based, theaters or union based theaters. And LTN was actually the first one in Norfolk that opened way back in the day for local theater.
And that for me is a distinctive thing about Hampton Roads. The community aspect in all regards is just so fruitful, and I love that. So
I do. I love it. I love how many different directions you can go. I love to challenge myself. So, hence this show. But I love how many different directions you can go. You can find some place that you feel comfortable and safe, but you can also find those challenges for yourself,
Yeah, there's always room to grow, and the support here is fantastic.
It can be. It can also not be.
Ooh. Well, I feel like
a small town.
That is true. It can be very competitive, but I think it just kind of depends on where you want to go, and if you're willing to be flexible and you're okay with hearing no sometimes.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the light and dark of the town.
Do you have anything else you'd like to share today?
So I do, which isn't exactly involved in this, but I wanted to open you to what we're doing next. So one of our ideas for promotions upcoming was to get testimonials of people who actually knew Anne or had like a certain memory of Anne, that they can do like little short clips that we can edit together. And it seems like you're kind of asking the same in this podcast. So I would like you to be a part of that if you're interested. It's not going to be a huge, project, but it would be something that I think would be interesting. And if you want to use those testimonials, we can share them with you. We have one so far, but we're trying to get some more. We just started working on it really this weekend, so we're starting that up, and hopefully we have at least 6 is what I'm hoping for, that we can kind of blend together in a little 60-second clip,
Beautiful. Oh, I'm definitely happy to help however I can.
Good. And I don't know if you saw, but it might be of interest to add on, but they're doing their first 48-hour film festival at LTN. It's a cross-pollination with NPC and the Muse, which is the Norfolk Playwrights Commission, which kind of just kicked up. It's Carrie's project, so I'm very excited in that, and I think everybody should be as well.
Oh, fantastic. So they already participated, and
This will be the first year in April.
Oh.
I don't think they've ever done it before. So it's a, kind of in the similar concept of the 48-hour film fest, but it's a play.
Oh my
yes.
gosh, that's so exciting.
It's very exciting. So I would like as many people as possible to know. I've, of course, already registered my team.
Okay.
Because I'm a theater nerd, but I would like to see other people to compete against. So I'm trying to get the word out there. I'm hoping it's fun. I don't know what to expect with it being a play, but I've done the 48 film quite a few times, like 26 times. So it's time for something new.
That sounds so exciting. Is this also like a national thing, or is this more...
This is just starting here. With LTN, I don't know if it's tagged on to something that's more national. I've never seen anything like this for a theater direction. I've only ever seen it in film. I've seen fashion and I've seen film. I've never seen theater before. So maybe it'll kick up and then grow and grow and grow. If we plant the seeds, it will grow.
Oh, that's so exciting. So then are you, I'm sorry, I want to know as much about this as possible because this is so cool. Is this going to be like just groups that come out of little theater of Norfolk?
Yeah, so it's open to the public. You can register a team, or you can register yourself as kind of a free agent. And then you can list like all of your qualifications, like why people would want to join you. And then they'll also do placement. So if those teams, you can have up to 8 members of your team. If you don't have 8 members, they can add a free agent in to help you. But as far as I know, it's open to the public. It's just being housed through LTN. It's a project for the Muse and NPC, which I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on there, but Norfolk Civil Rights Commission kicked up during COVID, and they've done quite a few shows of stage reading of new plays. So they're focused on new playwrights or new shows. And then the Muse Writing Center is helping to crossbreed that and pollinate it and make it grow.
Wow, this is so cool. And you said this is happening in April, right?
Yes, that will be in April. New things coming to Hampton Roads. Thank you, COVID.
Yeah. So how can people get involved? Where do they sign up?
They have it on their website, and they also posted it on Facebook. That's where I originally saw it. I know that Carrie's handling that, so if you need more dedicated information, I could probably get some from her. She's on the board.
Okay, great.
But yeah, it's something that I think would be fun. You can probably find the link and just share it.
Thank you so much, Staci.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
You have been a pleasure. You take care, love.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Do you have a hard time coming up with content ideas for your podcast? I find that there is nothing more embarrassing than all of a sudden being stumped in the middle of a conversation where it's like, I know I had more questions for you, but I just can't remember what they are right now. And that's why I'm trying Poddex. Poddex is the best all-in-one podcast idea generation tool. You get everything from episode ideas to interesting conversation starters for interviews, engaging discussions for your live streams, and even social media content ideas. With this tool, you don't have to spend weeks trying to come up with content for an episode or unique questions for your guests. Just shuffle the cards and pick one at random, hit the record button, and get started. Now you can make better content, have more fun while you're at it, and get your viral moment, all with Poddex. Head over to poddex.com and use code C4C.
Hey, this is Latasha Holloway. I plan to be the future mayor of Virginia Beach, but when the time comes, I will need your support. As a veteran of the healthcare field, I understand something about empathy. We must have empathy and compassion in order to improve Virginia Beach.